Greetings my guzzlers. This is a little bit different today. This is going to be a sort of unboxing of this thing. The HORL, or oral, apparently, doesn't matter how you pronounce it, but it's HORL or oral 2. It's a knife sharpener. But before we get to that, I thought I'd perhaps just start by telling you how we get to this. So let's just put this to one side a minute. So, sharpening your knives. Okay, I've got an array of knives here, and I've had a big problem on how to get these sharp. And you watch all the videos, you watch everything, and it tells you that, you know, use a stone, use this, whatever, and a bin for that. So, one of the things they say is use a tomato. Well, we don't have tomato knives because I don't like them. Now, whoops, this is relatively sharp because of one of these devices. Well, actually, sort of two. But initially, I had trouble getting it that sharp. I purchased this thing, okay, any sharp, and it does sharpen the knives, but it noticeably shaves off quite a lot of metal. And you read them and they go, ring Jedi, don't do that. So I put that to one side. So I went for the stone. Okay. And trying to get the angles right, couldn't do it. Printed myself some little gadgets so you could lay it on there and get the angle right. Still just could not get a decent edge on my knife. I even went as far as printing this contraption where you mount your knife in it. In fact, I think I've actually put that in upside down. You put your stone in there, and you can basically then have it at that fixed angle and grind down. There's a bit missing that fell off, I think. And you can grind it down. To, just couldn't get it to do it. So we put that to one side. Okay. And I gave up with the stone. And then I saw about stropping to get the, basically to hone the fine edge. And what was still, by the way, to hone it. I'm not sure, well, I don't know whether it's because I couldn't get a sharp edge on here in the first, or a sharp edge. But anyway, I then use this leather strop. Now it looks a bit mucky as such, because it's got this polishing compound on it. And I actually found I was starting to get a nice sharp edge. So I went back to this thing and I got my edge on that, and then I finished it off, get rid of the burrs as it were, on the, and that seems to solve it. But I'm still a little bit concerned about the amount of metal that shaves off. So at the moment, that was my go-to. So here we are now with all them gadgets with the HORL 2. So we're going to do a little unboxing exercise. Now, ironically, it comes with this nice, quite thick seal around the sides. I have opened this, okay, and it was that thick, even with a thumbnail, you know, fingernail, could not get it. Ironically, I needed a knife to actually cut the seal. So let's get unboxing. So it's a nice heavy object. Okay, let's take that lid off. You get a little booklet. First off, a quick start guide like you tend to get, and then you've got this, which again tells you more about it. Its first language in here is German. It's a German thing. It has been well copied, and I had been looking at the alternatives, the cheaper, a lot cheaper alternatives. The general opinion was not as good, prolonged, you know, life wise it don't last as long, and anything else like that. Essentially what you've got is this roller disc, the subtle discs, come with them little protective things. Okay, you've got a ceramic disc to do your finishing off with, and you've got a diamond coated very, very fine diamonds. Okay, now these both, like that one was loose, you can screw these off and get replacement ones. Now, generally, I reckon the diamond one shouldn't really ever need replacing, but you can buy different discs if you want to go on there. The ceramic one might over time need replacing. Okay, so you just screw them off, like I just showed you. Okay, screw the new one on. And then the rest of it is this weighted wooden block with the logo on there and this rubber, so that you can roll this backwards and forwards. And if you notice, you possibly can't see, but the discs rotate along with the wooden block. So that's how we're going to get our sharpening. Now, it also comes with this other little block. Let's get out of the way. And this is a wooden block with two angled sides, a 15 degree and a 20 degree. And there's magnets in there. Okay. Now, this will hold your knife at the correct angle. So you've got to decide whether you want 20 or 15. Now, for most general knives, unless you're going for the really high-end specialist knives, I mean, you can do it at 15, but generally they say go with 20. So, the idea is you clamp your knife, as I've done there, and then that is holding that at the right edge to that roller, and you essentially, my knife might be curved at the minute. I think I did 6 there, should have been counting. Okay, and then the idea is you turn your knife around the other way so that you do the other side. That knife is curved a bit. And then finally, actually I should have done that. I don't need to move the knife yet. You turn it round to the ceramic disc. And if you looked at the edge of that knife, it has these almost microscopic burrs, which this ceramic disc is just taking off. So now you give the knife a bit of a wipe, and supposedly that is now sharp. I'm not actually sure it's any sharper than it was before. So again on there, so we want our diamond one, and we want to give it an equal amount of rolls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you might need more to begin with, it said, so I've gone 8 with that. That's on there. So we want 8 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we go and hone it. Cut the arms, whoops. Turn it over. Now you keep your fingers away from all the blades all the time. Okay, so there's no need to get your fingers anywhere near it while you're sharpening. Just give it a little wipe off. Now let's see how that ends. I think that feels better. It certainly feels like it's got more of an edge to it with my finger. So, even if that isn't much better than using that any sharp device, what I can tell you is you see shavings of metal on this thing, and also I'm a bit concerned about the angle. Although it's supposedly sort of angled right, you are holding the blade in the middle, So I would say that seems to do the same jobs as that, but much more destructive to your knives. Whereas this, a lot simpler, a lot easier. Like I say, you've got a problem when it comes to your smaller knives. There is a way around it. I mean, you can essentially do it with it resting. Got my range, you know. It doesn't have to sit basically on the ground like your bigger knife will. So you can. It sort of came to me how we did it. So you can get around it that way. You just stick your knife on. Now there is a load of videos. Oops, using a holy one. There's a load of videos on their website and on YouTube that show you how to do this. But there you go. That is your HORL 2 knife sharpener. I might have a little bit longer on some of them knives. Like I say, to begin with, what it's saying is you might find it doesn't seem to be as sharp as you could get because your blades might need to be adjusted, if you like, to the correct angle. But there you go. The HORL 2 knife sharpener. They're on to the HORL 3 now. Not an awful lot of difference, slightly different size. And I've already printed myself a nice little stand to keep that on the side. There you go. The HORL 2. Give an update on the sharpener. Now, it does help if you read the bloody manual. Because everything I'd been led to believe was it was a very quick and simple operation. And I described it as taking your knife, selecting the angle, giving it like half a dozen strokes on one side, swap it round, half a dozen strokes on the other, and then same again with the ceramic dish, just to hone it. And I couldn't understand why my blades weren't coming out sharp. And it was simply that information was insufficient. Particularly perhaps with the blunter knives, or one of the first 5 times you might want to do it, it could take 5-10 minutes per side. So I went through with these other knives and did all that, give them longer, basically set the angle for 20, was going through, give about 5 minutes per side, and then went up through with the, perhaps not 5 minutes, but I went through and then honed it with a ceramic edge. And like I say, those knives, these ones here, came out nice and sharp. Okay, but oh, and I think the other thing was, I also said do them all at 15, and these didn't like that to begin with until I read that those knives are actually sharpened at 20. So I set the angle at 20, not 15, and like I say, did the whole like 5 minutes or so each side, and they came up nice and sharp. But this knife just wouldn't have it. But I forgot, this is a Japanese knife. And although initially I was doing it at 15, I hadn't given it enough strokes. I assumed, like those, it was the wrong angle, and I set this to 20, and I spent ages grinding it, and it still would not get sharp. Until I read that a Japanese knife, because of its hardness, needs to be 15. So I reground it for a lot longer at 15, and now this is nice and sharp. And so I'm just doing a little bit of a top up sharpening, if you like. Oops, wrong side. So like I say, this is just a little bit of an update to that video on how to use this sharpener. Make sure you know what angles it should be at. Most general sort of European stroke English knives, 20. Decent Japanese knives, which is, this is one of, 15. Okay, and make sure you do more than about half a dozen strokes on each side. You might later, once it's so nice and sharp, not even need to do the grinding, and you can just use the ceramic edge for a bit. But there you go, that's how to use it properly.